guys, welcome back to Urban Rhino Tutorials. On this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a half moon wood wall hanging. We're going to be using these little half circle wood pieces here and yarn to create kind of a wall tapestry. So the first step is staining your wood pieces. If you purchased one of the kits to create this, you will receive the pieces already cut. You should have stain and you will be able to choose your stain color, and we will have some gloves in there. You definitely want to make sure you wear those when you are doing the staining. These are latex free, by the way. And then you'll also have a little cloth that you'll use for the staining. So before you do anything else, you want to get the wood pieces stained so that you can set them to the side and let them dry and then move on to your next pieces. I have rings on, so it kind of makes it difficult to put your gloves on. You might want to take your rings off first. Okay. Stain is pretty messy, so like I said, wear the gloves. I would put some paper down to protect whatever surface you're working on if you don't want to get it messy. So we've got our two pieces here and the stain. A little bit of stain goes a long way. So I have kind of a deep brown, like an espresso color here. And what I'm going to do is dip the a little bit of the cloth into the stain, and I'm just going to brush it on, and I'm going to kind of follow the wood grain that's on here. If you prefer to use a paintbrush, you can. It's not necessary. This does kind of go on the way paint does as far as the strokes, so it is important that you kind of go the same direction the whole time. And let's get some more. And now the second piece is going to go on the back side. So it's not important to stain the whole piece. You can if you want. We're just going to hit the edge of it to make sure that anything that's exposed will be stained. Okay, so now that I have this part done, I'm going to, like I said, run it along the edge a little bit on this one, and then I'll go back and check the edge. Of the other piece as well. If you're doing a lighter color, if you apply one even coat and it's not dark enough, you can certainly let it dry and put a second coat on. It dries pretty quick. Okay, so there's the first one, and actually I'm gonna get this bottom edge too. So a little bit more. Just wanna make sure I don't miss anything that could potentially be seen. Okay, so that one is all done, and then on this one, just gonna get a little bit of the edge on this side as well as the very outer edge. Okay, and again a little bit on the bottom, and this is all going to be covered, so you don't have to worry about it looking a little messy. The raw edges will kind of your cloth will snag on it a little bit. It's not a big deal. It'll brush right off or wipe right off. So don't worry about that. Okay. I'm just getting anything else that I think could potentially be seen. Okay. So what will happen now is these will dry, and then we'll come back and we'll cut and attach our yarn from here, and then this piece will go on top like this to seal it all up, and then it'll be complete. So when I return, once these are dry, I will show you how to begin attaching the yarn. Okay, so now that the wood pieces are stained and dry, we are ready to begin attaching the yarn. So I have 3 colors I'm gonna use here, a cream, a kind of beige taupe color, and then this like mustard yellow. When we put these on, there's a couple things. So I am going to be gluing, so you need a hot glue gun for this project. I'm gonna be gluing the pieces onto this half circle here, kind of along the bottom edge. And then once we put the pieces on, you're gonna then use your second piece to lay it on top of it and trim around them. So as you're putting your pieces on, you just need to keep in mind that they need to be long enough that they're gonna go past this. So one thing you can do is you can set your second piece here, this one here, and when you're cutting and gluing the pieces, you just make sure that they go past this and use it as a guide. That way you're not wasting a lot of the yarn in case you want to use it for another project. Or you can kind of just guesstimate and then lay it on top later. I'm gonna use it as a guide because I think that's easier. And I will begin gluing the pieces on. And I will begin cutting my pieces and then gluing them on. So I'm gonna do a strip in the middle of this yellowy, mustard yellow gold color, and then 2 small strips on the side of it with this, and then the rest will be the cream color. So I'm gonna start actually with the mustard color, and I'm going to cut several pieces, several strands. I'm gonna unravel it first some, unwind it. And another thing that you can do if you don't want it to be the shape of your, half circle. So if you don't want the yarn to be that, let's say you want it to be straight across, you can certainly do that. It's your preference. For the example in the picture that you're seeing of this finished product will show it as the half circle. So when it's all complete, it looks like one full circle with the combination of the wood pieces and the yarn. So before I begin gluing, I'm gonna go through and cut all of my yarn. Instead of doing this on camera and you sitting there for a few minutes watching me do this, I'm going to skip ahead. When I return, I will have all of the yarn cut. So again, we're doing this color in the middle, this kind of taupey color on each side, and then the cream on the rest. So when I'm working my way out, these pieces obviously can be shorter. So let me go ahead and get these cut, and then when I come back, I'll show you how to glue them. All right, so now that I have all my pieces cut, and I will tell you to kind of give you a little shortcut instead of trying to cut, you know, strips individually, which would take forever, if you just take like a piece of cardboard or something that gives you an approximate length of what you need, and just wrap the yarn around it several times and then cut it, you'll get obviously multiple pieces in a much quicker time with just doing one cut. So just a little tip there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start gluing the pieces down to my board. I'm going to kind of scoot them out of the way. And I don't want to accidentally glue them to this bottom piece, so. And I'm going to start with the gold color. Get these off. There we go. And when I do this, you don't need to worry about them being straight here for the most part. And keep in mind that as long as you've accounted for, you know, how long it needs to be down here, so that, you know, when we put this here and trim around it, see I've got them sticking out. As long as you have enough, then you should be fine. You just want to make sure that you don't accidentally glue it too far up here and then you've shortened your pieces. So just consider that. I'm looking to make sure, see, like I've got a couple pieces down here that are shorter, so I need to gather those. So while they don't need to be perfectly even at the top, you do want to make sure you get them all on there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because I want them to be fairly thick, but I don't want them like so bunched up that when we put the top piece on, it's, you know, an inch thick. But I don't want them to be thin enough that if you know, are to hang this on a wall, that you see the wall color really through it much. So I'm gonna take my hot glue gun and put some a bead of, or a strip, I guess, of the hot glue. And I'm gonna glue these pieces down right in the middle. And if you end up missing any pieces, it's not a big deal, you just glue them down. So I'm sure I have one or two of these that are gonna not be secure. So when I kind of pull, yeah, there's a couple that were just kind of laying on top. So we'll just put a little bit more glue on top of those and put those last couple pieces on. Just like that. And the nice thing too is when you put your piece on top, it reminds me of a jellyfish. When you put your piece on top, it will help keep any pieces that might be thinking about coming off. It'll help keep them down. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of straighten these out and make sure they're good. And yep, looks like we're good as far as the length goes. And now we're gonna move on to the next color. Oh, I have one little stray, got away from me. Okay. So now we're gonna do this kind of taupe color. And I'm gonna probably do this in 2 batches because they're kind of thick. Okay, and again, glue. These are all pretty even already. kind of press them down. Like that. Do this other side while those are drying a little. Okay. And again, kind of comb them out, see if you missed any. So there's a couple. Few strays that didn't stick down. Okay, and I'm gonna do just a few more. And I am going to go ahead and do all of the cream color on here as well. And again, I'll do this off camera so you don't have to watch the entire thing. I'll finish gluing all those down, and then, again, I'm just combing them out. When I return, we are going to trim the bottom, and then, so I'll show you how to do that. And then we will secure the top and put the hanger on, and then it'll be all finished. All right, so we have all of the strands on here. I've gone through and kind of combed them out with my fingers and pulled out any loose pieces, and you may still find one from time to time. But just straighten them all out, and then, yep, see, there's one. And then what we're gonna do is trim the bottoms. So we want this, and you wanna make sure you comb them first, because if you trim the bottom and then start combing them, you're gonna still have, you know, really uneven edges. If you want to use a macrame comb, or even just a fine tooth, you know, hair comb, and comb through them, it will help kind of fray the yarn. Just be very careful. You don't want to pull too hard, or you're going to rip them off of where they are glued. So just keep that in mind. Okay, I think I've got it mostly combed out there. This is one of those things I feel like you could do forever. But that will be sufficient for this. You can always, oh, see, there's one more piece. You can always go back and do this after you get it all put together. If you need to comb it a little bit, you can still do that, and you can always trim a little bit too. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my second piece here. I'm going to lay it on top, and I want to make sure that I'm matching it up to the edge, or the bottom of this second piece, or the first piece. Okay, like that. And then what I'm gonna do is turn it, because it's easier for me, since I'm right-handed, to cut it this way. And I'm gonna press down pretty hard, because I don't want the pieces to move and be all sideways and crazy. So I'm going to start in taking very, very sharp scissors. I'm going to start trimming off the pieces here. And I will tell you, the other thing you can do is you can flip this over if you're having a hard time doing it this way. Turn it over. Let me show you what I mean. like this. And make sure you're still lined up. You might have an easier time doing it this way because you can kind of, the pieces are going to be kind of raised up a little bit already. I kind of prefer the other way. So I'm going to do a little bit of it this way and then I'll go back the other way. Your scissors will follow along the edge of the circle. Like I can feel the edge with my scissors of the circle that's underneath. So okay. You want to keep your pieces straight. Just like this, all the way along. Again, the bottom edge of my scissors is touching, or is right up against the circle, the wood circle that's underneath. And I'm gonna notice a few pieces here. Make sure I'm back on the screen. So just by combing it a little bit more, there's a few stray pieces and you'll have that. Okay, back over here. Okay, almost got it. Okay, so now that we've got that done, I'm going to turn it back over. Fix any that I see that might be out of place, you know, a little bit too long. All right, I think that's good. I feel like I could, this is another thing where it could drive you crazy if you just do it, keep going back over and over. Okay, good. Now we've got 2 steps left. We want to, this is gonna go on the top like this, but we wanna have a way to hang it, obviously. So you can either glue the twine, the little piece of twine, in between your 2 wood pieces. So glue it down. Let me move this here. So you can either glue it like this and then put your top on like that, or you can glue it to the back. I want to do it on the back because I don't want to see it. So I'm going to put it just like this so that when it hangs, actually I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter. Okay, so when it hangs, you don't see it, but you need it to be up at the top though. So just like that. little more glue to make sure it's secure. Okay. Just like that. So what I'm gonna do, last step, is I'm going to turn this back over. I'm giving this a second to cool off so it doesn't stick. I'm gonna turn this over and I'm going to glue this to the front. One thing you may want to do is take a very damp cloth that does not have, like, that's not gonna shed, and wipe this off, wipe the surface off, or take like some packing tape and just kind of pat it on it. You'll notice that if you keep this around, or if you're using it as your template for the yarn, you're gonna get a little bit of fuzz on it. So I'll go back when I'm done and kind of get all that extra fuzz on it. A lint roller actually may even take it off. Okay. Good enough there. So, flipped back over. And we're ready to put the final part on, just like this. And you want to make sure that it's nice and lined up. And we're going to put glue all along there and along this outside edge, just like this. Just like this, and press it down and make sure it's matched up, like that. And that is all done. Pretty simple. So that's it for this tutorial. Make sure you guys check out the link to purchase the kit for this in the comments below. Thanks for watching.